Today we will discuss principle-centered parenting. Before we plunge into today's topic of discussion, principle-centered parenting, let's recap why we are talking about parenting. This is because, as we had discussed earlier, all our mental health issues have their antecedents in our childhood, and therefore if there are any that need attention, that need to be corrected in order for us to be well on our way to reinvent ourselves to achieve our fullest potential, and also be in a position where we can nurture our children to do their best in their lives, it's important to start with parenting. Okay, to correct our own parenting, to reparent ourselves, and also to sort of arrive at a truce with our children if we had handled our parenting role not quite well as we should have. Okay, that's why we are talking about parenting now. It's all a part of strengthening our psychological health pillar, right? So let's talk about principle-centered parenting. Now, I am sure many of you have listened to my earlier videos where I spoke against parenting for obedience, and some of you had actually contacted me and told me that you disagree with me because I seem to be on the side of permissive parenting. Some of you use the word West versus East. Well, I am not for permissive parenting, or neither am I for authoritarian parenting that requires absolute obedience from the children, which includes corporal punishment and all of that, physical punishment, spanking and all of that. Neither am I for a Western style of parenting or an Eastern style of parenting, whatever that is to you. I am for a middle way, the correct way, which is principle-centered parenting. Before I can explain what is principle-centered parenting, I have to explain the difference between rules and principles. All homes, all parents do create rules for their children to abide by within the house, to have order, to have harmony, right? But there is a slight difference between rules and principles. It just could be a matter of semantics, but this actually helped me make a difference and therefore create an environment where the children are free to think, free to discuss, free to argue even, and to eventually become adults who can think and make decisions in novel situations. So rules to me are descriptive, meaning we describe what are the do's and don'ts in familiar situations, in multiple familiar situations. Examples of rules. I'm not saying rules are not necessary, but what I'm saying is rules alone are not enough, okay? For example, rules are what do you do when you're at the dining table? Everybody sits down and they use the proper cutlery, they don't throw food around, be polite and take turns to speak, don't speak with your mouth full. These are many rules surrounding one context. So rules, given the nature that they are descriptive and context specific, usually in a household there are bound to be many rules. All right. Now, on the other hand, principles are universal, okay, and they are prescriptive. This means that when we set a principle, okay, these principles apply to multiple different situations because the principles govern a much more rudimentary aspect of decision making is at the very root. Therefore, it applies to multiple different contexts, and it can really help our children make their decision throughout their life in various different situations. Yeah. So principles are prescriptive. Okay, they apply to a broad range of issues. So when we are teaching our children rules around the house, as I said, rules are necessary. We often start by teaching them rules, but actually a number of rules could be summarized into one principle. Okay, so it's prescriptive. This really helps children grow up into independent human beings who can make decisions. And if they err when they are using the principle to make a decision, usually we don't punish them, but we have a discussion and we clarify the principle. Maybe it is in our choice of words when we were articulating the principle as a code of honor for the family. We were not clear enough, therefore there was some room for misunderstanding. Yeah? So this is the difference between rules and principles. Rules, there are many, very context specific, and we can keep introducing new rules to our children. But principles, only a few. They're very prescriptive. Yeah, they're not descriptive, they're prescriptive. Therefore, the rules can emerge, or rather the principles, from the principles many rules can emerge, and this helps our children lead their daily life with more confidence, and they're able to think through different situations, making the right decision, and as such. Okay, and let me give you an example. Okay, for example, if in a home our child exhibits bad behavior, like being rude to someone, okay, does not matter if that person is older or younger. Okay, you reprimand the child. No, you do not speak rudely to this person. That is a rule. Okay, you do not speak rudely to this person. And the reason for that rule, the way the child understands it at that time is, oh, this person is older, or this person is in power, this person earns the money, right? So I don't get to speak rudely to this person. On the contrary, that person gets to speak rudely to me. That person gets to speak rudely to everyone else who has less power in the power dynamics of the household. Okay, this is how a rule works. It is not universally correct. So one of the features of a principle is that it is universal and it applies to everyone. So from courtesy to a specific individual, which can be a rule, we move towards making it a principle whereby it could be a universal principle that says everybody is equal. Yeah, therefore everybody must be treated with respect, civility, and dignity. That is a principle. Everybody is equal. That is a principle. Everyone is energy. So universal principles are always revolving around energy. We actually work it down, we distill it to its very energy core. Okay, so moving forth from this distilled universal principle, a lot of rules can arise from it. So it is much better to discover these universal rules and teach it to our children. Okay, so everybody is equal in that everybody is energy, whether they are older or younger, or what they look like, what color is their skin, or what religion they adhere to, or what kind of hair they have, what kind of build they have physically, what kind of clothes they're wearing. So everybody is equal because they are energy. That is one universal principle. And from this universal principle stems many rules. I'm not saying that you should not teach your children rules. Yeah, I would like to emphasize on that again and again. Rules work. You teach them rules, but also teach them the underlying universal energy principle from where or from which these rules stem. Often you would find that hundreds of rules which are descriptive, which are context specific, which are specific to certain individuals or certain settings, can be connected to a universal principle which is prescriptive and applies to everyone regardless to who they are, applies to every situation regardless of what that situation is. Okay, so one example is everyone is equal because everyone is ultimately a representation of an energy, an instance of an energy. You are energy, I am energy, everybody is energy, and therefore we treat everyone with civility, dignity, and respect. Right? So that's one principle. Now, what are the principles? We as parents have to work really hard to discover these principles ourselves. Nobody can teach us this. And this is where spirituality comes in. Yeah. So inevitably attaining a healthy psychological makeup goes back to strengthening yourself spiritually. Because when we understand, regardless of what is our religion, yeah, regardless of our culture, how we are brought up, spirituality is not religion, but a part of religion can be spiritual. Yeah, so we can draw inspiration from various religions. For example, I am a very eclectic individual when it comes to pursuing spirituality. I take wisdom from all kinds of teachings, whether it is religion or other philosophies. Okay, because spiritual lessons can be found everywhere, not only in religion, but including religion too. Yeah. So one is that we are all energy. Now, what other universal principles are there? I would love to hear from you, and I would like to touch upon some of the universal principles that I have discovered and hold dear as my truth in this life, because I think it really works. And if you have any such universal principles that you have discovered, please do share with me, and I would love to speak more about it in future videos. I will be sharing with you other universal principles from which multiple rules that are descriptive and context specific stem for me. Yeah, so this is one. If you have any, please do share with me. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please leave a comment about what are some of the universal principles that you have discovered through the course of your life. So basically, to actually heal ourselves mentally, we've got to know this universal principles. And while I'm on it, the first universal principle that I shared with you today, which is all of us are energy, so we have to treat everyone as an equal regardless of all their physical characteristics, including their age, yeah, their appearance, the wealth they have, and all of that. Remember to love yourself. Yeah, it's so important that we love ourselves and we act accordingly in order to safeguard our emotional health from being taken advantage of or from being hurt by others. We have to do everything to heal ourselves so that we can achieve our fullest potential, and we can also set up our children to achieve their fullest potential. Thank you and bye bye. See you again real soon.